yesterday. There was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I like to make videos about motherhood, lifestyle, and homemaking and homeschooling content. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you're new here, I would love to have you along for the ride. Today's video is a fun one because we're talking about traveling, and specifically I'm talking about toys and activities or games that your children can bring along with them on a road trip. A little bit of background for you. I am sharing these activities and ideas, these toys, because I have a lot of experience road tripping with my kids. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter and an almost 1.5-year-old son. When I say I have a lot of experience road tripping with them, it's not always going on vacations or traveling, particularly in the last year or so, but what it has been for our family is traveling at least 2 hours one way, and we do that about once a week. Now, I get into this in some past videos of mine, so you can check those out too, especially when we talked about a life update and moving into the apartment here. But basically we live in 2 locations as a family. We try to stick together, but we live in 2 different locations, a house and an apartment. That's because of my husband's job, but those are 2 hours apart from each other. So we do a lot of road tripping if you count 2 hours one way as a road trip. I just do a lot of car driving with little kids, and I wanted to share my tips and tricks with you. Okay, I'm including this even though it's not something that a very young child can do on their own on a road trip, because just in case you have another adult road tripping with you and they're sitting near the kids or something like that, I wanted to include this. If you are a 90s kid like me, maybe you grew up with Brain Quest. And Brain Quest, this is a 2-deck set. It's just a deck of cards that kind of swivel by a fastener at the bottom. And it's just full of question after question, kind of like flashcards, but there are multiple questions. Right after it is the answers page. And so you have questions here, right away you can see the answers. But this one I got for Sophie after some going back and forth between what level to get her. This is preschool age 4 to 5, and there's just a couple that are hard for her, but the rest of them have been really good. But we've been doing preschool homeschool this year, and I think that has helped her with, you know, counting and numbers and letters and stuff like that. I think you can get Brain Quests with different topics. This one is just preschool, but there are, I think, some that are specifically for a certain content area. But let me give you an example of some of the questions. So right here it says, oops, which animal is the wrong color? And then they have 4 green animals here, and it looks like the rat is not supposed to be green. Oh good, I got it right. But then it says, what number is this? And then it's the number 6. So it's hard for them to check on their own, but if you have an adult, or again, if you just are waiting somewhere, this is a really fun little deck to bring along. The third question here is, who is eating with a fork? And it shows an animal eating with a spoon, one with chopsticks, and one with a fork. It's just like general life knowledge stuff too, which is super fun and just interesting to see where your child is at, just from an interesting, fun, let's talk about life, lifelong learning standpoint with your kids too. It's not like, oh, you need to know all of these answers, just something really fun to talk about. I went through some of these the other day with Sophie just for fun, and this question here says, where does the stamp go on the envelope? And she was able to point to where the stamp goes. So like I said, it's just general lifelong learning, life knowledge stuff mixed in with more academic questions. So a Brain Quest deck for whatever age or level your child is at is a fun option to bring along on a road trip. This has been really fun for us to have in the car. It's a magnetic like landscape. It says play set, but it's like just a thick, heavy-duty cardboard landscape or scene that has magnetic dinosaurs. Here's a little one. Here's a bigger one so you can see. But it has magnetic dinosaurs that you can just manipulate and put around on a landscape. I know that doesn't sound super exciting for us as adults, but for the kids, it is so fun. My son, 1.5 years old, loves this. My daughter, 3.5, she loves this too. And she's like, she created a whole scene with things going on and what the dinosaurs were doing. And then my son just kind of squeals and makes them make noise. And It's not a super strong magnet, but it's strong enough for both of my kids, and they haven't really dropped them all over the place. So it's been really fun for them, and it's easy for a child to prop up in their lap, especially if they sit in a car seat. Something I would recommend with this set before you go on a trip or a long car ride like I do a lot is to punch out all of the dinosaurs, because it comes in a big magnetic sheet, and sometimes that can be hard for kids to just set it up themselves. So definitely punch all of those out. You could keep them in a baggie, but honestly they keep just fine within this book, and it's not an overly thick book at all. So I will link this below, like everything else that I can find in this video, because this has been really fun for us to have in the car, and it doesn't take up much room. Okay, speaking of magnetic stuff, you are probably seeing a little bit of a theme. Magnets are nice in the car because they usually don't get dropped as much as something that is loose and doesn't have something to hang on to or stick to. I do sometimes prefer magnets over stickers because stickers get everywhere and are consumable, and then magnets you can play with again and again. This is a more bulky looking set, but we actually brought this on a flight recently. Our family went to Florida, and it worked out well and was great in the airplane too. This is called Magnetibook, and it is the animals version. I think there are ones about people's faces too. You can kind of create someone's face or expression, but I really wanted the animals one. This side got broken, but it still works quite well. I wanted to show you the inside though, so you can kind of see how it works. Sophie has played this alone, and this has been good, especially for her. I haven't had Soren play with this, but it opens and props up nicely on your child's lap or even on an airline tray if you are traveling that way. And they just select a card, and it has a picture of the animal that they are supposed to build. Let's pretend I picked tiger because I see the tiger pieces here. But I think each animal has only 3 shapes or 3 pieces to it, and you just place them up here in the scene. Let's see if I can do it kind of sideways. And let's see where the tiger head is. Here's the tiger head. They just literally build the animal, and it's just so sweet. It feels like a game to them though, because then they draw the next card and see what creature they're supposed to make next. And these magnetic books are such a fun idea. I love how it's this whole little set or pack. I think this would be a great church activity too. It's a quiet activity for if your children need to sit and listen for a while, or even wait in a waiting room for a while. So definitely check out Magnetibook. I like this animals theme, but they do make others too. I know I said I'm not a huge fan of stickers, but I'm showing you something sticker related next. This is the Usborne Activities Little Sticker Dolly Dressing Ballerinas. And Sophie has been in dance this school year and is really into being a ballerina, or just reading about ballerinas and dancers. And this is one of those Usborne books that if you have an older child, they can probably figure it out a little bit better in terms of what costumes go with which girl. Sophie has enjoyed putting certain costumes on other ballerinas too, not necessarily the exact one that they tell you to put the costume for page 20 on, but I still would recommend it because your child can sit and flip through all the pages and then flip to the back where it's the sticker sheets, select an outfit, and then dress up the person. And these are really shiny pages, so I'm not sure if they are reusable, but maybe they are a little bit. I didn't look into that as much, but we definitely love these types of books where you dress up someone using stickers. So this is a fun one if you do want to pick a sticker book. This isn't too large, and it comes along on trips really well with us. Next, I think this type of toy gets recommended a lot. This is a Water Wow, and if you haven't heard of it, it comes with a little plastic pen, which I have recently confiscated because I don't really like it out in the house because the kids will start playing with it and it might open up. But this is good for road trips or sometime where you really just want them to have an activity to be engrossed in. It comes with a plastic pen that you just fill up with just a small amount of water, which you could do on the go from a water bottle even. They just brush the brush tip back and forth, or they can just color in specifically whatever creature it is, and it comes to life in terms of color. So all of a sudden different colors are showing, and when it air dries, it actually goes back to this white page, which is phenomenal because no one wants something that's consumable all the time and that you just throw away when they're done coloring. So we've really enjoyed water wows over the years with Sophie, and Soren is starting to like them too. Now they do have a little pen carrying case right here. I actually like to put our pen in a snack size Ziploc baggie just so that it doesn't leak all over. I'm just a little paranoid about kind of unscrewing the pen, which happens, and it's not a whole lot of water anyway, but that's just how I do it. I store it kind of with it, but separately. But this is a little pen holder in the front. Since we went to Florida recently, I did pick a water wow that was an ocean theme. So it's kind of fun that you could pick different themes. We have a farm animals one too, and these are pretty inexpensive. So definitely recommend a water wow if your child enjoys little artwork or something that feels easy, like they're not coloring at all from scratch. If they like that kind of activity, definitely pick up one of these. I need to mention before I forget that something essential on a road trip is your child's security blanket or lovey or whatever you call their most prized possession stuffed animal. If you forget these at home, it's not going to be a fun car ride for you, and I've done that before and it's hard. So definitely we bring Sophie's pink bear, which is her beloved, it's like a bear with a blanket, so it's kind of a security blanket thing. And then for Soren, he hasn't super attached to a particular stuffed animal that he always must have, but he's got a favorite blanket and a little raccoon that he does especially like, I would say, and so we try to bring those on road trips too, but especially we make sure we bring pink bear. I just wanted to mention that because if you are going on a road trip that's anywhere around 2 hours, like I do a lot of, or longer than 2 hours, and if there's any chance that your child would need to do some self-soothing or fall asleep even, like over nap time or over bedtime, something like that, definitely bring that along because that will help you all to have a more quiet, peaceful, relaxing car ride. The final things I wanted to share with you were these two books, not really specifically these two books, but I'll explain the general idea of them. This one's pretty dirty on the front because it has lived a good life in the car. This is one of Sophie's homeschool books from her preschool level of the Sunlight curriculum. If you want to see more homeschooling videos, I have a lot of those, several of those as well, including a large haul of preschool activities and games because I'm a former educator, so I've really enjoyed collecting stuff for Sophie's schooling as well. But anyway, this is from her curriculum, but this is a book you can buy anywhere. It's Peter Spire. If you have heard of him, I've read his books when I was a kid too. But this one is called Noah's Ark, and it's basically all illustrations. And I'm not saying that your child who doesn't know how to read yet can't have books that have words in them for a car ride. That's totally fine and great, and you'll see that in the next book I share. But having a book that's just illustrations, because that's the way the author and illustrator intended it to be, is super fun. So there are a few words in this one, like just a brief little storyline, but hardly anything at all. And Peter Spire specifically is so good at doing very detailed illustrations with so much going on, like just so much side activity in every picture. This is Noah's Ark, so there's all sorts of life going on inside the boat and what the creatures are doing and the caretakers are doing. So I would recommend something like this because Sophie has spent hours and hours reading this book because it's just so fascinating. Giving your child something that is so detail oriented in the car is extra fun because then they just have something to think about. It gives their brains something to do. So Peter Spire books are really good. He has other books too, so you can check those out, but I will link below this Noah's Ark one that has been a family favorite of ours. This final item I'm sharing with you has words. It's different than the Peter Spire book. This is just a Scholastic brand book, something you'd find at a book fair or something, but it's meant for older kids, and I have still had such success with this in the car with both Sophie and Soren. I would recommend that you think about topics that your child is super interested in, and I'm sure you do this already, but it's just fun to think about. Like Sophie is really into horses, and so we picked up this Crazy for Horses book. It's a nonfiction book with actual pictures of horses and just descriptions, long descriptions of the breeds. And of course she can't read all of those yet, but she can learn a lot of things just by looking at all of the real life pictures of horses and what they're doing, all the different breeds. I mean, maybe not all the different breeds are in here, but it's just really fascinating for her to look at. And it has been such a hit on a long car ride. And like I said, I have given this to Soren too. And he's so little, he just sits and props it up and just pages through. And I mean, you can imagine how much your child is thinking about when they're in the back seat, just examining pictures so closely. So yeah, think about a topic that your child is super into right now, and maybe go to Goodwill and look through all of their books there, or just look on Amazon for a nonfiction, like with real pictures type of book. And I think you'll find it will give you some quiet car time as you're driving, but it'll also be really good for your kids. That's it for today's video. I had a blast collecting all of these things from our van and bringing them in here to share with you. I hope it was useful to you. I hope it comes in handy when you have any long or short car rides in the future. I think these are really great activities for toddlers or even preschoolers to do in the car. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, because that helps me know to make more videos like this. I mentioned before, but I do videos on motherhood and homeschooling, homemaking, all sorts of things. Comment down below with what your favorite road trip essentials are, or your favorite road trip toys are for kids. I would love to hear, because I'm always collecting ideas as I am frequently driving with my kids, and it's always fun to hear what works for other families too. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.